that a Patreon would be viable. I think once a month I would just have you watch like 10 episodes of SpongeBob.
Yeah, so that I can finally get all of the references.
Yeah, I had to close out. Well, I guess I'll reopen that and just mute it.
Yeah, by the
Because
way,
like I
we are
started hearing the conversation like a couple seconds delayed and I was like, whoa,
yeah, that's because we're live now.
I know.
We're
I just didn't realize
live.
it was gonna happen right that second.
Yeah, I kind of dropped it on you there. Welcome
Yeah.
everybody to Into the Falls Live.
Hi! We're ranking things that don't exist.
Yeah, we're getting canceled today because we're looking at canceled Disney projects and seeing should they exist or is it best that they never came to fruition?
Yeah, and so we're not it was easy to rank DreamWorks movies because there are only so many. Um, Ranking canceled concepts for movies is like a little more nebulous. Um, but basically, I narrowed it down to like 20 that sounded especially interesting or weird. Um, they are mostly movies. Yeah, there's like one that's no, there's like a couple that aren't movies, but we'll talk about them as we get to them. Yeah, and I didn't
Yeah.
AJ doesn't know what a lot of these are, and not all of them had like storyboards or concept art in existence. Some of them were just concepts that never really got off the ground. And like, if you know anything about the film industry, you know like 99% of pitches don't get developed. They either like they might get into early development and then they get scrapped. Like most of the things that get pitched don't get made. So there is a very long list of canceled Disney projects. I tried to avoid stuff that was just like they were gonna adapt this book or this fairy tale and then they didn't, unless there was something like especially interesting about the synopsis or especially like surprising.
Yeah. It's very exciting. And to reiterate, I have not seen most of these. So these are going to be my fresh reactions, as is typical with Into the Falls. I think I looked at a big, long Wikipedia list of canceled Disney
It was
projects like
very long. Very
2 or
long.
3 weeks ago when we started planning this.
There were like 600 items on that list,
Oh,
so
yeah. Stuff dating
you know.
back to the 1920s and stuff. So I'm very excited to get into these. I will go ahead and say, please excuse the occasional cough. I am recovering from a sickness. I had a really bad night a couple of nights ago, but I won't delve further into that. So, um, let me go ahead and open up a window capture so that you can see the tier list that we are going to make.
So before we rank these, I'll just say the images, I said before, not all of these had like title cards or storyboards or concept art. So some of them are just like stuff I got to represent what they were. And you'll figure out which one is which as we go along.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'm really good at live streaming, I promise.
You're great. He's great at it.
I'm so good at it.
We should do for the stuff that's like sequels. We should do the same AO3 game we played last time and just go to like the actual franchise and see how long it takes us to find smut.
Oh, fun.
I still can't get over the fact that when we did Prince of Egypt, the first smut fic we found was Moses X Reader,
Yeah, I do
the
remember that.
biblical figure of Moses X Reader.
Yeah, all right. So then, I've got it right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna. If you don't immediately know what the images are, I'm gonna make you guess.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's going to be great. Just in case you can't control this, I'm going to pull it up here. Adjust that so that now I can see it and control it. Yay! All right. So we've got a bunch of them over here. Do we want to just go ahead and get into it?
Yeah, which one do you want to start with?
Um, well, I suppose let's start with the very first one here. We've got Guillermo del Toro with holding an Oscar statue. I have no idea what the context is for that, so you'll have to take the lead, Mary. What was Guillermo
You
del
know,
Toro going to do at Disney?
he was going to do something that is now being done by someone else in a very different way. I'm pulling up an article about it right now. This is from Collider. It's called What Happened to Guillermo del Toro's Haunted Mansion movie?
Oh, I do recall reading about this.
Yeah, there is a How Did This Not Get Made episode about it. Let's see. Okay, 2010 edition of the San Diego International Comic Con. At the very end of a panel dedicated to Disney's Tron Legacy, Guillermo del Toro made an unexpected appearance to announce that he would be working on a Haunted Mansion movie. That was in development for like years. It never happened. A lot of people. I still haven't seen Crimson Peak. I need to see it.
I saw it. It was really good. I really
I hear
enjoyed it.
I hear very good things, and I love a lot of Guillermo del Toro movies. I love Pan's Labyrinth. I loved Pinocchio. I'm trying to think what else he's made.
Yeah, as a person who doesn't like horror films, I would say that I still
Well, Crimson
very
Peak
much
is a gothic
enjoyed it.
romance.
Yeah, it was still kind of gory. It was still a little freaky in some places, but not overtly horror. Yeah, very
So
gothic, very romance, and I enjoyed it a lot. Also, Tom Hiddleston was great.
I'm sure he was. I hear nothing but great things about that movie. I need to see it. What I've heard is that like there's like a rumor that what he wanted to do with Haunted Mansion, he put a lot of those elements into Crimson Peak when it became clear he wasn't going to be able to actually make this movie. So 2013, he confirmed he would not be directing. He said that the project had struggled to score an additional screenwriter. Challenges stemming from conflicts because Disney wanted the production to get produced as quickly as possible. What else is new? Del Toro is busy with other movies. He always is. He just won another Oscar, very deservedly.
Oh
Pinocchio's
yeah.
the great movie. Um,
So yeah. Um
I sent I sent my friend the link to this stream, and she said, "You got canceled," and I can't tell if she's joking. And I
Yeah,
say
just
we're
by
getting
the
canceled
proxy of the projects
live
we're
in
discussing, we
real
have been
time.
canceled.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
2015 news broke that Ryan Gosling was set to star. I never heard about this. Revealed that Del Toro was back to being the planned director for the blockbuster. I did not know about this part. I don't think they ever said who Ryan Gosling was going to play, but obviously that didn't go through.
Yeah, pity.
2018, we finally found out that like the Del Toro version was never happening. He made a list on Twitter of screenplays he wrote that never got made. Yeah, fans still kind of wanted it to happen. I don't. Maybe someday it will happen, but
Who knows?
not for at least 20 years if this pattern continues.
Yeah.
She
And
said, "Ooh," I said, "You'll have to watch."
yeah, watch us to find out.
All right. So, where do you place this hypothetical, excuse me, Guillermo del Toro version of the Haunted Mansion?
All right. So, I haven't seen admittedly very many Guillermo del Toro movies. I haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth. I haven't seen the Hellboy movies. I haven't seen the other that you mentioned, but I mean, just based off what I saw with Crimson Peak and just basically what I've read about Del Toro, I think a take on Haunted Mansion would be something that would be really, really interesting to see. Because Disney, is sort of known for their family-friendly brand of entertainment, but then they've sort of pushed that in their movies with the Pirates of the Caribbean movies with Johnny Depp and all that. So maybe going in that direction with Haunted Mansion, maybe make it a little darker, something with a lot more world building, I think would have been really cool. So I don't know whether to put it in We Were Robbed or Might Have Been Cool. So
Okay,
I
well
want to hear your
here's
opinion.
my here's my mindset on it. Knowing Disney, if this had gone through, it probably wouldn't be exactly the movie he wanted to make.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
let's live in our imaginary world for a minute where he gets to make it exactly the way he wants to, or at least like very close. And it turns out, as good as many other Guillermo del Toro movies, I would put this in We Were Robbed.
Yeah. And Disney, they're no matter what we discuss here, we just want to make it perfectly clear. Disney was always going to be Disney. So none of these projects would likely have turned out perfect. But, you know, I'm an optimistic kind of guy. So again, imagining that in your perfect little world where he gets to make the movie he that he wants to make, and it's maybe a little bloodier, a little more horror like, but sort of keeping that fantastical whimsy that the ride is known for. I
I
would
mean,
also
probably
agree.
not
Hmm?
probably not bloody. I know a lot of Del Toro movies are bloody, but they'd probably make him cut back on this, but like it's not like that's what makes a Del Toro movie
Yeah,
good.
I know. I know.
I think if this was just like a dark family adventure movie, I think that could have been really fun. And honestly, the one that's coming out this summer doesn't look that bad. Or it doesn't look half bad, I meant to say. Maybe it'll be awful. Maybe it'll be worse than the one we got 20 years ago. I don't know, but the trailer was pretty decent, I thought.
Well, there's nowhere to go from here but up. So I'm gonna agree with
You
you
could go
and
like slightly to the side.
eh,
You just make a lateral move.
we could, but that's not ideal. Always hope for the best. Guillermo
Yeah,
del Toro's Haunted Mansion goes in We Were Robbed.
we were.
All right. Now our next one, as it's laid out here, I'm kind of interested in. Catcher in the Rye. Disney was gonna do that.
So here's what happened. This is according to Wikipedia. Let me see what their source is. Their source is another Collider article, actually.
Collider must
Let's see
like
if
this
that
kind of
has
stuff.
let's see if that has more information. Um, Apparently they mentioned this in the Howard Ashman documentary. I do not remember that. Um,
Another one I need to
oh
see.
no, that's it. No, it's from an interview. Okay, I'm just gonna read this little blurb on Wikipedia. Michael Eisner proposed that Disney Feature Animation should develop an animated adaptation of The Catcher in the Rye, since Eisner was a fan of the original book. However, knowing that J.D. Salinger would refuse to sell the film rights, Eisner then suggested to do an animated film that dealt with similar topics from the book, but with German shepherds.
um,
The characters were all going to be German shepherds.
I'm hesitant to say it's the silliest thing I've ever heard, but it's up there.
This is like what someone making fun of Disney would make up.
Yeah.
Like if there was like a Saturday Night Live sketch about like here's the next Disney animated movie in like the 80s or 90s, it would be a movie about based on Catcher in the Rye but with dogs.
I mean,
So it
I
was
can
going to be called
imagine that
Doofus.
and
It
Doofus.
was going to be Doofus, Dufus. It says the film was briefly mentioned in the Disney Plus film Howard, where in 1986 lyricist Howard Ashman, R.I.P. We love him. Oh, wait, no, he was Jewish. May his memory be a blessing. We love him. In 1986, lyricist Howard Ashman was sent a letter from then studio chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg. We are ambivalent about him in regards to collaborating with the studio on one of their
Katzenberg's a dick.
films.
I'm just gonna straight up say it. Katzenberg is a dick.
I'm sure he would be like a nice guy to talk to, but he's made some bad business decisions. Doofus was listed alongside a sequel to Mary Poppins, which we got much later, and The Little Mermaid, original Little Mermaid, what Howard Ashman famously did work on and was excellent.
Yeah.
So AJ, where would you put Doofus?
um,
Doofus and the Boofus.
where would I put Doofus?
Doofus?
Probably for the best that this didn't get made, because even if in an ideal world J.D. Salinger gave Disney the rights to The Catcher in the Rye,
That's
I
your
haven't
ideal world?
I haven't read it, so I'm I only know of the plot points based off of Crash Course, but
And you think it would
there's
be
no way
ideal
it
if
would
he
be
sold Disney the film rights?
I'm just saying, follow me down this trail.
Okay.
If it happened that J.D. Salinger decided to give Disney the film rights, there's no way it would have been faithful to the book. There's no way I'm sure they could have tackled some of the themes in the book like faithfully in a Disney
But that's
movie.
what Eisner wanted to do, though, which is so weird to me because that is just so that doesn't seem like something that Eisner would want to do, but apparently he really liked this book and he's like, let's deal with some similar themes, but with the talking dogs. And I'm like, how are you going to do that in a family movie? Because this is
Yeah. It's so
I'm
weird and
bleak.
out of place. And I mean, maybe he could have done it, maybe it could have been all right, but I
I'm
don't feel
imagining
like taking that chance.
I'm imagining a dog seeing that movie and then immediately running off and mauling one of the Beatles.
Oh Jesus.
I love one of my
Now
favorite.
I want to ask this real quick. If Disney, say this was around the time that Don Bluth was fired from Disney, and say they passed on the rights, do you think Don Bluth would swipe them up and make this? Basically, what if this wasn't a Disney film and was instead a Don Bluth film?
Don Bluth would do it either because he's still like he made very different movies from Disney, but he still made family movies. I don't think he would see Catcher in the Rye as like this will be a great source for like an animated dark comedy thing. Not dark comedy like black comedy, but like dark thing with like family oriented humor and like maybe some songs. I don't think so. I don't think Don Bluth would do it. I'm trying to think of a studio that might. I guess DreamWorks in the early days might have thought about it. I don't know if they do it now.
Studio Ghibli?
Do something like it. Um, they've got some adult oriented movies. I don't know if they do this specifically because they tend to lean more into fantasy, it seems like.
Yeah. So, you can go ahead and elaborate if you want, but my placement for this is probably for the best. It didn't get made.
I was just gonna say that one of my favorite South Park jokes is when Butters is reading Catcher in the Rye and he puts it down and his eyes are like glazed over and he picks up a knife and he starts going, "Kill John Lennon! Kill John Lennon!" He walks into the family room, his dad's sitting there, he's like, "Dad, where's John Lennon live?" And he says, "John Lennon's dead, Butters." And he goes, "Oh, dang it." And he just walks away sadly with the knife.
I wanted to be the one.
I'm gonna put it in probably for the best as well.
All right. Michael Eisner's The Catcher in the Rye. Probably best it didn't
And no, it's
happen.
called Doofus. It's called Doofus.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Doofus the Naked Mole Dat.
I'm going to commission somebody to draw the Catcher
To
in
make
the
this
Rye main
movie?
character as
To make this entire movie. Yeah.
just to make the entire movie. Yeah.
That's a very expensive commission, but I think it would be worth it.
All right. Let's go to the next one on the list. What do we have here? We've got a painting of a winter scene, it looks like.
Who do you think made that painting? What company do you think did that?
I don't know. I mean, it looks very Saturday Evening Post kind of like.
Incorrect. It was Courier and Ives, and they were gonna make a feature film called Courier and Ives. I don't know if they had like permission from the company to do that or if they needed it, but this was in production around 1949. Planned for release sometime in the late 1940s, it was to be a combination film, live action mixed with animation. Eventually dropped because the cost involved would have been too high. At the time, there had been a slate of combination pictures with the box office each being less than its predecessor. That's true during World War II. Like all they made during the entire decade of the 40s, like all they made were
Yeah.
package films with a couple of exceptions.
Melody Time, Make Mine Music, Saludos Amigos, The Three Caballeros,
That's-
Ichabod and
Those are
Mr.
two
Toad.
very good ones. Ichabod and Mr. Toad. So
Yeah, so you'll have to explain to me what Courier and Ives is because I drew a complete blank.
okay, so Courier and I an American was an American printmaking business operated between 1835 and 1907. I From what I understand, they're kind of like the hallmark of their day. Um, they just made a bunch of like cheap paintings that looked like this idyllic scene of Americana. And
Sort of like Norman
yeah,
Rockwell.
yeah, kind of. Or like Thomas Kincaid.
Right.
So like I'm on
What?
the Wikipedia page for this company, and there's a section that says it's like, okay, the lithographs. There's another tab, racist lithographs.
It was the
Main article,
time.
Darktown Comics.
Sadly,
yeah,
it
that's
was
bad.
the
I'm not.
time.
I'm not gonna show it, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen from that era, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah. So I feel like the only way in my mind this movie would have been compelling is say, there's some drama about the running of the company and
But that's not what it was gonna be. It's not like about the company. It's like when I read that it was gonna be called. It probably wasn't gonna be called Courier Knives. That might have been like uh, a placeholder title where like project sort of like Courier Knives, and we'll think of a title later. What I would imagine, knowing that and knowing that it was going to be combination live action and animation, I would think that their goal was to get like live actors in front of like Courier Knives esque backgrounds, which I think would have just been like that would be really difficult today for them to like interact with that. But like in the 40s, when the studio is basically broke until after Cinderella comes out, like there's no way they were going to get that done. So I think that's why it got canceled.
yeah, and I mean, the way you describe it, I think it would be pretty cool. Like also if they were interacting with like cartoon animals that were depicted in these paintings and revolve a story around that. And yeah.
It sounds like it would, if the company went under in like 1907, it sounds like it would have had to be a period movie too, which I'm always up for.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, from the looks of things, I think a lot of these ideas that they had, they would later transfer into Mary Poppins, I feel like, because I mean, the way you
I
describe
mean,
it,
they'd
that's
already done.
basically the painting scene in Mary Poppins.
That's true. They do go into a painting, but it's like a chalk drawing on the street, which I think allows for more like not lower quality, but like less detail, which is much easier to animate.
Yeah, and there were really awesome animated characters in that sequence too. Oh, Bedknobs and Broomsticks as well.
Yeah, I mean they'd already done like live action animated movies, Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros and Songs. They've done a couple of those.
Zippity doo
So
dah, that one away in the vault.
there was okay. I was dog sitting like a year ago, and I was like going through. They had like a GameCube and a Wii and stuff,
Oh,
and
cool.
so I was looking. I was looking to see if they had any games, and what I found were like a couple of DVDs. One was Hocus Pocus. The other was a bootleg copy of Song of the South, and I have no idea where they got it or why they have it.
Either
And
a historian
I was
or
kind of
really like
tempted to
that
watch.
movie.
I was kind of tempted.
Like,
I think one of them was African American. One of the couple who owned the dog. So I wonder if it's has something to do with that, like,
maybe. Like you never really know
or
for
maybe or
sure.
maybe just like, well, no,
Maybe
really,
they watch it and have a laugh about it.
I phrased, I phrased that wrong. I think like, what was I about to say? I completely lost my train of thought.
Nah, it's all right.
No. Okay, no. What I was about to say, I phrased that wrong. What I was gonna say is like one of them was African American, so I'm not judging them for having it. Um, because like I'm sure they have their reasons. I'm just very curious.
Yeah. And I mean, it was never released. I think it was released on DVD overseas in the UK. So
I don't even
either
know if
that's
it
where
was
they got
released
their
on
copy
DVD there.
from, or they burned old VHS release onto that DVD, which I'm sure looks very bad.
It, I mean, I didn't watch it, but the cover is clearly not official. It's clearly not like a mass-produced cover. It's clearly someone printed it out, cut it out themselves, and slipped it on an empty DVD case. Um,
Yeah. So
yeah,
anyway,
honestly, like, okay, Age of the Internet, that movie is not hard to find. I think Disney might as well just like release it with a disclaimer, with like have some historians do a roundtable discussion,
get Whoopi
do
Goldberg in
something. I don't know.
there.
Get Whoopi Goldberg in there. Don't even have her say anything. Just have her in there. No, you know what? When they put it on Disney Plus, it shouldn't be just the movie. It should be the movie being watched by Whoopi Goldberg, and you can see her the whole time, just in a theater. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't make any commentary. She doesn't like react in any like big way.
She
She's
just
just
looks
watching.
disappointed,
I mean,
or not
no one
even
reacts to Song of the South in any big way. It's a very boring movie.
that.
I know once they announced that Splash Mountain was closing, everyone was like, "No, this movie's beloved. It's my favorite." No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
And I
You
mean,
don't care about the. No one cares about that movie.
and I mean, the ride that it's replacing is Princess and the Frog ride, which I mean, good for Tiana, good for her.
Yeah, we love to see it. And we love to see the Disney Plus Tiana show that's happening that we haven't gotten like any information about aside from like one thing of concept art like a year ago, and I'm getting impatient.
Yeah, Disney's gonna be Disney. That's not on our list.
Disney's animation's gonna take a long time. Well, yeah, because it's not canceled. It's still happening.
Yeah, but what is on our list is Courier and Ives, and I mean, I
Oh,
suppose
I
I could
forgot we
live
haven't
without
ranked
it.
that yet.
I suppose I
Yeah,
could live without it.
it's a novel idea. It's like that Tumblr post that was going around a while ago. That's like, excuse me, that was like concept art from like Tangled or Frozen or something. And they were like, why didn't the whole movie look like this? And I'm like, that looks like it took weeks. That one still image, that one painting of that one character, that looks like it took weeks.
Yeah,
Granted, I don't know that much about art. Maybe it took less. But like it would take 40 years to animate something like that unless they had a very, very, very big crew, which I'm sure Disney could afford, but I don't think they would want to suffer the expense.
yeah. So we good with I can live without it?
I can live without it, yeah.
All right. Now, next up, I've been kind of waiting to talk about this. Let's talk about Circle 7, the miserable beginning and the tragic death of Circle 7 animation.
All right. There's some dispute as to whether there was a miserable beginning or tragic death of Circle 7 because some people think they were never actually going to make any of those movies. Also, I gotta apologize, the title of this video isn't totally accurate because Circle 7 was gonna make like at least 3 sequels to Pixar movies when Pixar was considering ending their partnership with Disney. And of course, that ended with Disney acquiring Pixar, and now they can't get out of it. Maybe they don't want to, but they can. All
Yeah.
right. We've got the Disney fandom wiki page for their version of Toy Story 3.
Oh yeah, I remember
Let's
seeing this image back in the day on the internet, and I was just like, "What was this movie going to be?"
I just skimmed over the synopsis. I'm seeing a lot more information than I thought even existed about this hypothetical movie. Oh, there's a lot of concept art for this movie. If this was all like a hoax, then it must have been very expensive because they had to like pay those artists to make all this concept art, being like, "No, see, we're making this. It's in development." Let's read the plot synopsis.
Oh
It says
boy.
after Buzz Lightyear inexplicably starts to malfunction, Andy's mom sends him back to the factory in Taiwan in the city of Taipei where he was made in the hopes that they will fix him. However, upon learning that a worldwide recall had been issued on all Buzz Lightyear toys and that Buzz will merely be replaced, Woody, Jesse, Bullseye, Ham, Mr. Potato Head, Rex, and Slinky all ship themselves to Taiwan and set out to rescue him. Meanwhile, at the factory, Buzz is placed on a conveyor belt, in which he learns leads to a giant toy crushing machine known as the Smasher that destroys all unwanted toys, just like the brave little toaster. He jumps off and proceeds to escape, only to be found by some workers who take him to a boardroom. There he meets the new toys whom the company intend to replace him with. A Transformers-esque action figure and member of Star Command named Dax Blastar and his cat Comet. Elsewhere in the city of Taipei, Woody and the gang are in a box on a truck. They have a flashlight with them so that it won't be pitch black, but the batteries suddenly die. Due to her fear of the dark, Jessie jumps off of the truck and the other toys follow. I don't feel like she would do that. Not knowing where the factory is, they proceed to jump into the basket underneath a passing stroller. Back at the factory, Buzz is taken to an archive room for recalled toys where he meets two of them. Cindy Scissors, a superhero action figure who has scissor blades concealed in her legs, and Rosie, a bed warmer doll who was recalled because she had a high risk of overheating and catching on fire. I don't know if any of this is accurate, by the way. This is just what's on the wiki. I don't know where they got this information.
Elaborate.
Yeah. Anyway, they tell him that Mr. Kagoi, the founder of the company, would have fixed every toy there long ago if not for the fact that the board members have always kept him in the dark about the Smasher. Buzz decides to take a letter to Mr. Kagoi's office that will notify him about it, and Rosie and Cindy agree to help him. Meanwhile, the mother pushing the stroller takes her son to a daycare center on the top floor of the Taipei 101, the tallest building in the world at the time. Oh, this is like 2007, by the way. There, yeah. Woody and the gang are discovered by other children and are played with in wild and rough ways. Bullseye being made to look like a My Little Pony doll, Mr. Potato Head being stripped of parts and treated like a potato, Rex and Ham are diapered and treated like babies, and Woody and Jessie are married, with the kids smashing each other in the face like a kiss. After the daycare closes, the toys proceed to construct an escape vehicle using a shopping cart, a bubble machine, and some balloons. They use this to float out of a window down to the street below and proceed to make their way to the factory. There are like no spaces between these sentences. At the same time, Buzz, Rosie, and Cindy run into Dax Blaster.
Very... Like, how long is this summary? How long do we have to go still?
I think I'm like 2/3 of the way through. Not wanting Buzz to reclaim his spot as the number one toy, Dax tricks them by placing them in what he claims is the mail delivery chute to Kagoi's office, when in reality, it is the one that leads to the destroying room. At the moment, the toys end up on the conveyor belt. Andy's other toys arrive and quickly shut down the Smasher, but not before one of Buzz's legs gets crushed. Luckily, with Cindy and Rosie's help, they are able to get Buzz to the toy repair room, where they not only fix his leg, but put in a new chip so he won't malfunction any longer. While Slinky, Ham, Bullseye, Mr. Potato Head, and Rex prepare a delivery box to get the toys home, Woody, Jessie, Buzz, Cindy, and Rosie run to Mr. Kagoi, I'm probably saying that name wrong, his office. When they get there, they learn that the man is aware that toys are alive, which both shocks and pleases them. Upon learning what the executives have been doing, Kagoi goes to the unveiling of Dax Blaster and tells everyone present that from now on, all recalled toys will be repaired and sent back to their owners. While this is happening, Buzz goes behind a curtain where Dax is waiting for his big reveal and knocks him off a pedestal, so that when the curtain opens, only Comet is seen. However, all the audience members, including Al McWiggin, say they love Comet and will definitely buy him, much to Dax's chagrin. Later, when all the toys are preparing to ship themselves back home, Dax tries to stop Buzz one final time. However, he is thrown into a box which Andy's toys write Sid's address on. After they have successfully made it home, a montage of all the now repaired toys, including Cindy and Rosie, happily being bought by new owners, is shown. However, Andy discovers the recall letter about Buzz, and Woody and the gang share an uh-oh look, meaning they are going to go through this process again. That sounds dumb.
What the fuck is this movie?
Like, it sounds bad.
It doesn't sound like, certainly not to the high standards of Pixar. This sounds barely
it sounds
Disney
fan fiction written by
movie.
A 15-year-old. Yeah, I don't know if this was gonna be in theaters, but it sounds like fan fiction. If that synopsis is even real.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is.
Incredible. I know the plot definitely revolved around Buzz getting recalled, so either somebody got a hold of a complete script, because this tells of the movie from beginning to end.
Probably a treatment.
Probably.
Yeah, that's what you do in a treatment. You write like the whole synopsis in like a condensed way.
Yeah, so either somebody got a hold of that or someone was really creative. And this is the Disney wiki from fandom, right? So not an official
Yes.
Disney wiki in any sort of way.
All right. Circle 7 was launched in 2005. They were supposed to create one sequel per year with a budget below 100 million. Um, I don't know if these, yeah, going by this interview, animatedviews.com, I don't know if these employees like if this was all just like a bluff to get Pixar to renegotiate, that's like really cruel to these writers and animators unless they planned on immediately giving them jobs in an actual studio and we're still paying them the same rate.
From what I read on Wikipedia, after Circle 7 closed down, they were all transferred to feature animation, which we know of
Okay, yeah,
today
that's
as
good.
Walt Disney Animation Studios.
It would be very, very cruel if they just fired all those people and were like, "Oh no, this was we were just kidding. Bye."
Yeah. Yeah, you've been punked later.
So these two guys they wrote. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is their Unmade Monsters Inc. 2.
Yeah, let's talk about that one.
This is Bob Hilgenberg and Rob Muir, who worked at Circle 7. They hold on. Oh, they actually wrote a draft of this screenplay. So there was a script that existed for this version of Toy Story 3.
Dang.
Disney liked their Toy Story 3 pitch, which, like, honestly, I said it was dumb. It's a first draft, probably.
Yeah.
And first drafts are always dumb. I'm sure if they got a chance to do a few more passes at it, it would have been better. I don't think it would have been as good as the real Toy Story 3 that we ended up getting.
Hell no.
No. Well, because it's just kind of another little adventure, which is fine. But, Toy Story 3 feels more like, I don't want to say elevated. People use the word elevated for dumb things in the context of film.
I
But
get
anyway,
what you mean. There are bigger stakes involved.
So Disney liked the pitch and asked them to come on for the Monsters Inc. sequel. This says, as a result, the duo wrote what Hollywood insiders suggest was one of the best unproduced screenplays at Disney. That's impressive. It was subtitled Lost in Scaradise. They left Monstropolis to find Boo in the human world. I remember hearing that like they went to her door and her family had moved, so they need to find out where her new door is.
Yeah, I remember reading that as well.
Little weird if you think too hard about it. These two grown men need to find this little girl who's their friend.
And they're monsters.
Yeah, they're also monsters. January 2006, they announced their purchase of Pixar. March 2006, they announced the closing of Circle 7. Of the 168 Circle 7 employees, 136 were absorbed into Walt Disney Animation Studios.
Real quick, they, at least from the wiki that I read, they also had a pitch for a Finding Nemo sequel.
We're going to talk about that in just a minute. All right.
Yeah, want to make sure
that's
you
not
didn't
part of
forget
that. That's not part of that interview I was just reading from. Okay. This is the Disney fandom wiki again. Finding Nemo 2. Plot would feature Nemo's long-lost twin brother named Remy and Marlin getting captured, so Nemo, Remy, and Dory have to save him.
Yeah, stupid.
And this is while Ratatouille is being made.
Yeah.
Like, it would have to be in production at this point.
Oh, yeah.
In 2005.
So either somebody going between Disney and Pixar was paying attention and decided to curb that, or it's another step in the prank.
No, it just happened when Circle 7 closed down. None of these movies ever got made. I don't think they ever came close to being made.
Yeah.
Okay. hired screenwriter Laurie Craig to write a draft for Finding Nemo 2. It never went into production, but a script for the Circle 7 version was uploaded to the official Raindance Film Festival website. I want to read that now.
Oh boy. Perhaps
Oh my god, that script exists somewhere.
if we can find
We
it,
should-
maybe next stream we'll do a dramatic reading of it.
Table read. Table
Table
read.
read.
Table
Table
read.
read. Woo!
Let's bring some other people on and do a table read of Finding Nemo 2 as imagined by
Yes.
Circle 7.
We should totally
Okay.
do that. For context, we have an old Discord server where we got together a bunch of friends in the Duck fandom, and we read across 2 nights the Darkwing Duck comic, Dangerous Currency, the Darkwing Duck DuckTales
Masterpiece.
crossover. It's an absolute masterpiece. I am Darkwing and Negaduck in it. And we also read the
I'm
Topolino
the
magazine
narrator.
adaptation of Pride and Prejudice?
Pride and Prejudice, yeah.
Yeah, that was also
I'm
an
the
extremely
narrator in
fun
that
time.
one too. Okay, so their version of the Wickham thing in that version is like they don't want it to be like he's sexually exploiting one of the sisters because it's Disney, but so they have it be like, oh, there's a recipe contest and he stole their recipe, that rascal, but he gets his comeuppance.
And Wickham in this
okay,
case was Gladstone, right?
Yes, and Wickham when I saw the 2005 Pride and Prejudice for the first time recently. I've never read the book. And like when I saw what he actually did in the original book, it like made my blood boil. I like texted I tweeted out like immediately and I was texting my friends like I want him to become a real person so I can murder him.
Whoo!
I said that to my friend who was like a classics major, and she said, "You and every other person since 1813."
Yeah. So, I'm usually a positive person.
I'm kind of curious about these.
I'm a
I don't
little
think they would have been great,
curious,
but I'm curious.
But-
There's some of these people went on to work on like the Disney Fairies movies, which were like pretty decent.
yeah,
Not
but
like Pixar quality, but they're fun.
the fact is they were never gonna be as good as Pixar. And given that we got Finding Dory after that, Toy Story 3, Monsters University.
I can take or leave Monsters University.
I haven't seen it. I think it was always best that these properties were in the hands of Pixar. So my vote for Circle 7 animation canceled Pixar sequels is oh thank God.
I wouldn't go that far. I am curious about these. I do want to read these scripts if I can find them. I'm gonna
right.
say probably for the best.
You know what? I'm gonna concede to that. Pending we do the table read for Finding Nemo 2. I will
we gotta-
probably decide
You know what?
right then
The
and
20th
there.
anniversary. The 20th anniversary of Finding Nemo is coming up.
That's exciting. You know what?
We can do that.
Let's coordinate.
Let's do it.
Let's start casting. All right. So, next up, this is either a Treasure Planet sequel or an Atlantis sequel. You want to tell me what it is?
It's a Treasure Planet sequel.
Yeah. Another
Well,
one
I
I
mean,
haven't
I
seen,
need
but I want to see it.
It's pretty good. I was sick. I don't remember if this is while I had COVID or while I had the flu last year. Those were like 6 months apart. But I rewatched Treasure Planet for the first time in a few years during that time, and it's a banger. It's not the best Disney movie ever made, but it's a banger. You can kind of tell that it was a passion project because John Musker and Ron Clements, who did Great Mouse Detective, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hercules, this Princess and the Frog and Moana, this was like their white whale, basically. The story goes, and I don't have a source for this, but what I've heard is that Katzenberg asked them to do Hercules, and then once they got that done, they would be allowed to make this movie. Unfortunately, it really bombed. I think it opened against a Harry Potter movie.
Yeah.
In 2002.
2002, so that would have been Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little over. Yeah, Lilo and Stitch was a big hit that year, but it didn't open against the Harry Potter movie. All right.
Yeah, you gotta wonder if there were some corporate shenanigans involved in there to try and make it intentionally bomb.
There always are. All right, this is from the Lost Media Wiki. Treasure Planet 2 is a canceled 2002 Disney anime. Okay, it wouldn't have come out in 2002, but animated sequel film to Treasure Planet was planned to be directed by June Falkenstein, who had previously worked as a director for the 2000 animated film The Tigger Movie, which I like. I think that's a good movie. I think if she, assuming this movie was as good as the Tigger movie, I think it would have also been as good as Treasure Planet, which is a very roundabout way of saying that I think Treasure Planet is about as good as the Tigger movie, and Tigger movie is pretty good. Anyway, the
Print
film was in
that.
development for 8 to 9 months, just like a baby, before being canceled due to the first film of the planned franchise bombing at the box office. Had the film not been canceled, it would have been followed by a TV animated series set to take place after the sequel. I don't know if this
Wow.
was gonna be. I don't know if this was gonna be Disney Toon or was this gonna be Disney Toon or regular Disney? Let me see.
I don't know.
I think
Well,
it could have been Disney Toon because like Lion King 2 is canon in the Disney Junior series they did. Kiara is a character in that.
yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean,
it doesn't say in this article, but let's. Okay, there's a much shorter plot synopsis for this one. Would have involved Jim Hawkins going to the Royal Interstellar Academy. There's also a how did this not get made that goes into a little more detail, where he is described as being a bit of a hotshot in contrast to his smart classmate and eventual love interest, Kate. That's the lady he's standing next to in that image. Captain
all right.
Amelia is the dean of the academy and has a brand new vessel designed by Dr. Delbert, the Centurion. The new vessel is designed to be the fastest ship in the galaxy and has Penn as the pilot of the ship. And I think Emma Thompson had signed on to play Amelia again, and Willem Dafoe was going to be the villain. He was going to be Ironbeard, who has a desire to take control of the ship. He and his gang of pirates then hijack the ship, forcing Jim and Kate to escape their ship and find help from a pirate who can stop Ironbeard. Jim then finds help from his old friend Long John Silver at the Lagoon Nebula as they plan to sneak on board of the ship and gain back control of the Centurion. However, Silver also has desires of controlling the ship himself, wants Jim to join him, which horrifies Kate, and the three find out that Ironbeard is using the Centurion for his own villainous gains, which includes disabling Botany Bay Prison asteroid security system to allow alerted prisoners to join the ship. Ironbeard also damages Silver's ship to prevent the three from catching up to him. Jim, Kate, and Silver soon reconcile with one another somehow. It doesn't go into more detail. And Silver reveals that he has smuggled a ton of weapons that can help destroy the Centurion. With the three now working together and fixing Silver's ship, Silver is soon forced to destroy the Centurion and kill all of Ironbeard's crew on the ship. The film would then end with Silver parting ways again with Jim and Kate, and the two graduating from the Royal Interstellar Academy a few years later with honors, while Silver's shadow is secretly smiling at their accomplishments. That's literally the end of the original.
So again, haven't seen the original Treasure Planet. I want to because the way that they sort of brought the film into this really fascinating steampunk slash sci-fi world was always really cool to me. In fact, I
Most of the original film's cast, including Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Emma Thompson, and Brian Murray, was expected to return for the sequel, and Willem Dafoe had signed on to voice Ironbeard.
that sounds pretty good. Now I want to discuss this because we kind of got a Treasure Planet sequel in a way, sort of.
I know there's a video game, I don't know much about it.
I've played it. It's a strategy game called Treasure Planet Battle at Procyon. I think it came out in like 2002 or 2003. Basically, you're
Thanksgiving
controlling.
2002.
Thanks. Basically, you're controlling a ship, and it's basically like a naval strategy game where you control where your ship moves, what weapons you have loaded, and battleships in the Great Ethereum. And the plot revolved around Jim graduating from Naval Academy and commandeering his own ship as the threat of the Ironclads, ships made of iron, roam space and threaten the whole of the Royal Navy.
Doesn't have a love interest. Doesn't
Uh,
have Emma Thompson.
Yeah, but I mean, Admiral Amelia is in it, and the voice is pretty good. Although I can't judge it against Emma Thompson because, again, I haven't seen the film.
Also, like you can't really fault them for not being able to get Emma Thompson back for a video game.
Yeah, it was a PC game developed by a company called Barking. I was about to say Naughty Dog. No, Barking Dog Studios. They would not long after this game came out, they would be purchased by Rockstar Games and turned into Rockstar Vancouver, who are noted for developing the game Bully, if you've heard of it.
No, I haven't.
It's basically
Anyway,
like Grand Theft Auto, but in a prep school.
Oh, that sounds fun. I'm gonna put this in might have been cool. I'm okay with it not existing, but I think it might have been interesting. I like some Disney sequels.
Yeah, I will agree. Like, barring my reaction on the original Treasure Planet, I might say we were robbed, but for now I'm going to say it might have been cool. So yeah, Disney's America. What is that?
So this is our first canceled project that's not a movie. This was gonna be a theme park in Manassas, Virginia, near a Civil War battlefield. There's a very good Defunctland video about this called "The Battle for Disney's America," and it's edited like a Ken Burns documentary about the Civil War. Like all these pull quotes about the planning and the construction are read like Civil War letters. Let me look up some more.
Yeah,
This
if
is the
this has
Wikipedia
anything
page.
to do with some fan art I've seen by a particular artist revolving around different kinds of birds in red, white, and blue garb, then who knows? But
No,
let me know what the deal was with this supposed theme park.
okay, I was wrong about the location. It was going to be in Haymarket, Virginia, which might be near Manassas, I don't know, which I'm sure has some Civil War history. Um, then they wanted to put it near Knott's Berry Farm in California. Canceled. It was going to be themed around American history. Um, Opposition materializes. Historian David McCullough described Disney's America as a potential commercial blitzkrieg in May 1994, predicting the same urban sprawl that surrounds Disneyland and Disney World for Virginia. Yeah, so people in Virginia really did not want this. They're like, no, I like driving places in like a reasonable amount of time. I don't want tons more people here. Um, Probably the most notorious uh so the most notorious thing about this non-existent theme park is that, oh, I'm revising this a little bit because Wikipedia says that Eisner would later disavow comments from Weiss, a senior vice president who had stated that a planned exhibit on slavery would make you feel what it was like to be a slave, saying that Weiss had misspoken and was not used to speaking with the media, to the media. So like it's very notorious for being like, we're gonna do like a slave simulator. It turns out they might have been, or maybe that was damage control. I want to think that they're not so oblivious as to think that was a good idea, but like stranger things have happened.
Yeah, and I mean, this is Disney in the 90s, so I would also like to think they were a little better than Disney in the 40s.
They knew racism was bad. They didn't exactly know how to address that. Um, yeah, they were gonna have some kind of slavery exhibit. I don't know exactly what it was gonna be. I should probably rewatch that Defunctland video.
Yeah.
Um, and it's opening like right by like Colonial Williamsburg and a bunch of Civil War battlefields, and it's like, okay, but that's like actual history. That's
Yeah.
like real history that you are putting a Disney park right next
Yeah, I
to.
feel like this
Like
was
Liberty Square is one thing. Liberty Square is one thing. The American Experience is one thing. Because that's in Florida.
yeah.
Like if there
It's
was a
not
Disney
the
park in
focus of an
Louisiana,
entire park.
yeah, I wouldn't want to go. Like if I was in New Orleans, and Disneyland was like right next to it and it had New Orleans Square, I wouldn't really be interested in going to New Orleans Square.
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing they were gonna have like this area, like each section of the park was gonna be like a different time period. There was gonna be like a baseball diamond that represented like World War II sort of Americana, like apple pie sort of thing. Um, I guess Revolutionary War stuff similar to Liberty Square, Civil War stuff similar to the Civil War battlefield that it would have been right next to. So I guess they were gonna convert Knott's Berry Farm into
Yeah.
this. I guess that was before Knott's Berry Farm was actually like its own theme park.
Yeah, this whole thing just feels like a segment of uh touristia that Disney probably shouldn't have tried to put their hands in. Like it's like
It's
definitely feels like we want a piece of this pie. It just
this
feels
apple pie, this
very
American apple pie.
this American apple pie. It just feels very disingenuous in that way to me.
Yeah. I feel like they got a little too excited.
Yeah. So I'm definitely ready to put this in probably for the best. How about you?
Debating between probably for the best and oh thank God.
I mean, we don't know if that slavery exhibit thing was real.
There was going to be some kind of slavery exhibit. I don't know what it would have been, but I think it's a bad idea for Disney Park.
Yeah, definitely. So, oh
And also,
shit.
like, that just doesn't sound like a very fun park to go to for me personally.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to really visit it either. Oh, who knows? I wonder if my dad would probably like it. One of his favorite parts of Disney World has always been the Hall of the Presidents.
I've never been to Hall of Presidents.
Some would say it's a good attraction to take a break and fall asleep in, but it's kind of fascinating. Fun fact.
We have Carousel of Progress for that. Oh, that's in a different park though.
Actually, no. It's in Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom. So is Hall of Presidents.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, Carousel of Progress is in Tomorrowland. Hall of Presidents is in Epcot.
Hall of Presidents is in Magic Kingdom in
No, it's
Main
not.
Street
Let me look it
USA.
up.
I'm very sure I'm right
It's
about
not.
this.
There are no attractions on Main Street USA. It's just shops. Hold on. Okay.
All
Hall
right.
of
Mary is fact
Presidents.
checking me right now.
Damn it! It's in Liberty Square in Magic Kingdom.
Boom! All right. So
How did I not know that? Why did I think it was in Epcot? Well, there's the American Experience is in Epcot.
Yeah,
That's what I
so
was thinking.
I'll give you that. I can get why you'd be confused, but I know this because last time we visited Magic Kingdom, the Hall of the Presidents was closed, and I believe that's because they were currently installing the Donald Trump animatronic. So my dad didn't get to see Hall of Presidents that time, and he was a little sad about it.
Well, I'm gonna put it in oh thank God.
Yeah, I'll concede to that.
I think it was just a bad idea.
Yeah, probably I'm saying probably for the best, but I agree. Oh, thank God this didn't happen.
You're being nice.
I generally defer to being nice. I mean, you're the one that put our only DreamWorks film last stream in shite tier. So,
Because it's a terrible movie. It was so bad.
it was Sinbad.
I'm pretty sure it set back feminism like 20 years. So I had to put it in shite tier for the
Yeah,
cause.
for always for the cause. All right, what do
Yeah.
we have next with this little gremlin looking thing?
This little gremlin looking thing is actually a gremlin. And this is an article from the Walt Disney Family Museum. Long before the outbreak of World War II, Walt Disney and his team had already begun to cement their legacy as storytellers. This is just an intro that's not Roald Dahl connected with Walt Disney on July 13th, 1942. At the time, Dahl was serving in Washington, D.C. as an assistant air attaché with the Royal Air Force to help create a kind of British propaganda to keep America interested in and sympathetic to Britain's war efforts. I'm sure you all know who Roald Dahl is. If you don't, he wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda and The Witches and some other things that I can't think of.
The BFG.
Uh, the BFG, the big fucking giant. Um,
I
Dahl
hit
had
my
written
teeth.
about his RAF experiences, including a story called Gremlin Lore about the mythical creatures that sabotaged RAF planes. So that's a common thing in the military that they would joke that gremlins got into the planes and messed them up. Dahl was required to submit everything he wrote for approval by British Information Services. The officer who read it, Sidney Bernstein, passed it along to Walt Disney, who was looking for war-related stories to develop as films. Walt sent him a cable saying Gremlins had possibilities. He was interested in securing the story for a project. They corresponded regularly to discuss turning it into a film featuring both live action and animation.
Another one.
The 26-year-old Dahl, wow, was thoroughly impressed by the Disney operation. Connected with Walt on a personal level upon discovering a shared fondness for Rudyard Kipling. Walt dubbed the 6.5-foot tall Dahl Stocky after the character in Kipling's Stocky and Co. Let's see. Dahl persuaded Disney to produce an illustrated book version of the story in anticipation of the release of the film. So I think that was in fact published. April of 1943, they partnered with Random House to publish The Gremlins, a Royal Air Force story by Flight Lieutenant Roald Dahl. With a cover design by Mary Blair.
Good illustrated old Mary Blair.
Illustrated by Bill Justice and Al Dempster, written by Roald Dahl. Looks like it was not reprinted because of wartime paper shortage.
So if anybody can find one on eBay, you better snap it up.
So basically, yeah, this just kind of, there was, outside of the fact that there was a war going on, there wasn't like a huge reason that this couldn't have worked. Things just kind of didn't fall together the right way, and the movie did not get made. Gremlins opened the door for Roald Dahl in his writing career. Known as the Imagination. Yeah, so this was really the start of Roald Dahl's career, and it didn't even get made.
Wow.
So that's something.
That's quite the start of a career when you are able to hook up with Disney while in a military job, and then all of a sudden you go on this other tangent of producing some of the most well-loved children's stories ever published.
In a tangent, it's just kind of what he did afterwards. I think he was trying to break into writing, and this is what, like, collaborating with Disney, even if the project never actually got made, that's what finally allowed him to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, this gremlin design, I'm pretty sure has showed up as like Easter eggs or cameos in other Disney projects, right?
If you played the Epic Mickey games, a gremlin is like your guide through that game. He's like a major character in it.
That game I have played.
Yep. So that's where that comes from.
Yeah, that's why
there might be reprints. There might be reprints of the book now, just for like the novelty of it.
Yeah, that
because, like, let's be real, you can make money off of a Roald Dahl Walt Disney collaboration, whether or not it's a movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this sounds pretty intriguing to me, and I'm definitely glad to see that it was at least made into a book. As far as the movie goes, though, I don't know. I guess we could put it might have been cool.
Might have been cool because I can't really say we were robbed. I don't know if the movie would have been like a masterpiece, and like it did lead the way to Roald Dahl's entire career as a writer.
Yeah. So alright. Disney and Roald Dahl's The Gremlins. Might have been cool. Alright. What do we have over here?
We have the canceled film that uh oh, we didn't set our thumbnail image for this. I'll do that later. But the one I used to promote this on Twitter was our faces edited onto the only concept art, or not the only concept art, but the most widely seen concept art for Gigantic. And this is from the Canceled Movies fandom wiki. It was a computer animated musical comedy film revealed during 2015 D23. I remember this.
I might have
Nathan
heard
Greeno
about
and
this one too.
Nathan Greeno, who co-directed Tangled, Meg LeFauve, who I guess worked on Inside Out and Captain Marvel, were set to direct. It was going to follow the release of Frozen 2. It was going to come out in 2020, which means it was going to come out in like 2021. Um,
Yeah.
October 10th, 2017. I didn't know it was this long ago. Disney announced that the project had been canceled and was replaced with Raya and the Last Dragon. The plot was going to be set in Spain during the Age of Exploration. The film followed Jack as he discovers a world of giants hidden within clouds. Jack befriends the female giant Inma, who's 11 years old, 60 feet tall, fiery, feisty, and a lot to control, and treats him like a living doll, Greeno said. Meanwhile, the antagonists, storm giants, stand at 120 feet. That's the entire plot synopsis.
That's interesting. Like I feel like to really judge this, I got to know either if there were any voices cast or who was going to write the songs.
I'm sure they got to that point. I don't know if we're gonna get that information anytime soon. Um,
Dang.
Gigantic was pushed back to 2018. In 2015, it was originally going to be titled Giants. In the movie Zootopia, Duke Weaselton is selling a bunch of bootleg DVDs, and he says, like, I've got movies that haven't even been released yet. And there's, like, Frozen 2, Moana, but, like, with animal puns. And then Gigantic, but it was called Giraffic. Jack played by a squirrel climbing a giraffe neck instead of a beanstalk. So that aged very poorly within like a year. It was like a year later that they announced, no, this isn't happening.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it could have been all right. Like just another sort of Disney animated film. Like I've heard of those names, so I'm sure that they would have done a great job at whatever this
If
movie was
it
going to be.
if it was anything like Frozen, Tangled, Encanto, I would have really liked it. If it was more like Raya, I wouldn't have. And I don't say that in terms of like the theme or the setting. I just don't think the script for Raya was very good. I think it was kind of all over the place. So I would put it might have been cool.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it does feel a little I don't know, derivative maybe. Like
How so?
giants interacting with regular people. I feel like for this film to really be successful, Disney might have had to put a fresh spin on it, sort of twist it up in a way.
A lot of things.
Yeah. But I mean, I can concede it might have been cool. All right. Who are these people?
You don't zoom in, see if you recognize them.
Um I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank here.
This is the Lizzie McGuire reboot that was gonna happen and then it didn't
Yeah.
happen.
I only
So
have
that's
vague
Hilary
recollections
Duff.
of Lizzie McGuire. That's why.
Yeah. All right, so this is from the Hollywood Reporter. This was canceled because Hilary Duff said she insisted to Disney Plus that the revival had to feature a more mature Lizzie without having to be too mature. She says she had to be 30 years old doing 30-year-old things. She didn't need to be doing bong rips and having one night stands all the time, but it had to be authentic. I think they got spooked. The same thing happened with Love Victor, which they moved to Hulu, which is now also on Disney Plus because everyone saw right through that when they said like, "Oh, it's not family friendly because the parents get a divorce." That's why. Everyone like they had filmed stuff for this. They had probably done like an episode or two, and
Yeah, from what I recall, the original creator of the show was attached to this, and then she left over quote creative differences, and then that's when this reboot started to spiral out of control.
yeah, because it's like it was basically going to be like the iCarly reboot, where like the characters are adults now, the audience of the original show are adults now, so it's geared toward adults. Like the
Yeah,
characters are having sex and they're talking about drugs and alcohol and whatnot.
yeah. I feel like I don't know how much Raven's Home delves into these things because it's a show on the Disney Channel, but
Yeah, it probably doesn't do much of it.
I have to wonder if Disney wanted another Raven's Home and Hilary Duff and the Lizzie McGuire creator just weren't down with that.
I feel like they heard the words Lizzie McGuire reboot and they were like, "Yes, we want that millennial nostalgia." And then but they didn't really think about what that would entail and if that's what they actually wanted as a studio. Because like they had every right to just not pick up the pitch, but they did. And then they were like, "Wait, no."
No. Yeah, and I mean, of course, this is during the era where they're trying to build up Disney Plus. International Disney channels are dropping left and right.
They were so confused what they wanted on Disney Plus because they were like, we're gonna have it's gonna be for the whole family, there's gonna be plenty of kids stuff, but there's also gonna be stuff for the grown-ups. And then all the stuff that was like for the grown-ups was like,
The
no,
Simpsons.
we don't want that unless it's The Simpsons, which we already know is a huge hit. We already know is gonna make us money. We don't have to worry about that. All this stuff that is like in production now, we're like, maybe not. I know we said we were gonna put it on Disney Plus, but we're not. Bye.
Yeah. So I'm
Put
gonna defer to you because I have no history with Lizzie McGuire.
I'm gonna put it in We Were Robbed, if only for like the fact that so much of it was like so far into production and they
Yeah,
just dropped it.
and I mean I am kind of sad that this fell by the wayside the way that it did because I'm sure everybody involved, including Hilary Duff, were really into it and really wanted to see it succeed. They just couldn't do what they wanted to with it. All right. I'm going to make an executive decision here.
Executive decision.
I'm just going to put him right there. Right at the very top.
Yeah,
No matter what Darkwing movie, we were robbed.
here's the thing. I'm looking at the movie. I don't know if this was actually in development at Disney. It might have been pitched and just not picked up. But I put it in there because you were so passionate about it.
Yeah. Uh there's some loose info about this and I don't have the info with me, but there are some concept storyboards that exist of Darkwing Duck in very much a big brash James Bond kind of movie, possibly a movie version of the pilot Darkly Dawns the Duck, revolving around
I think that would have
Darkwing
worked.
meeting Gosalyn and fighting against the big bad Taurus Bulba. And who knows? It might have gone the way of DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, and being done by Walt Disney Animation France, but DuckTales the movie wasn't exactly a huge success at the box office, so that is possibly a reason why this never materialized or Disney passed on the pitch or whatever. But
My best
at least Disney France got to make a Goofy movie later on.
not the Goofy movie, a Goofy movie.
Yes.
There's more than one.
There's
But
more than one.
yeah, my best guess for why this didn't happen is just that like it was a vague concept that they were kind of throwing around like this is a popular show, maybe we'll make a movie out of it, which they probably did for a lot of shows. And then it just didn't happen.
Yeah. Which I mean
they didn't want to spend the money to animate it. They didn't want to pay the voice actors probably a higher rate for a movie.
But I mean, I'm always gonna be sad that it doesn't exist.
I'm always going to be confused as to what this reboot currently in development actually is because I keep getting conflicting reports.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we don't know whether this
Is Seth
Darkwing
Rogen
reboot
involved
still...
or not?
Yeah. I don't know. From last I heard, either Disney didn't like where Seth wanted to go, or Seth wasn't good with where Disney wanted to go. So,
Well, I'm not even sure if Seth Rogen was directly involved. It was just like his production company.
yeah, his production company.
So like
was involved
I guess
with
he had
Disney
to
TV
approve of that
animation.
project. I guess he had to approve of that project existing, but I don't know how much he was involved in like creating the pitch and like developing it.
Yeah, it's like saying Michael Bay directed those live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies in the 2010s. He didn't. It was just his company.
He just kind of was like, he was just kind of like, oh, turtles, okay,
I'll
do
put
that.
money into that, and maybe I'll add Megan Fox too.
I'll give you money for turtles. And Seth Rogen's like, I'll give you money for birds.
I'll give you money for ducks. I like the duck show.
Okay, when I went back and watched our other stream, I noticed that I was like doing this a lot when I didn't realize it, and I just realized I'm doing it again. I probably have been this entire time.
It's all right. So yeah, Darkwing movie, Darkwing reboot, if it should somehow not materialize. I hope it still does, but either way,
It's gonna come about
anytime we don't have more Darkwing in our lives, we are robbed.
This is what happens during recording our podcast too. We're constantly stopping and starting. Yeah, I think it's gonna come about in some way or another. I just don't know when or how.
Yeah, hopefully with the grand success that the DuckTales reboot had, Disney will want to do something with it. And also a Duck Avenger TV series. I still very much want that.
All right, we are halfway through. I don't think we have time to play the AO3 game because I have work in the morning. What's this next one?
I'm gonna guess it's Empire of the Sun? Is that what it's called?
Kingdom of the Sun, which eventually became Emperor's New Groove, but was going to be very different. It was still set in the Inca civilization. It's still going to be
my people.
Oh, I thought you were correcting me and saying Maya. I'm like, no, different continent.
Yeah, but this was my people.
But this was gonna be more of like a Prince and the Pauper kind of thing. It was gonna be like, I think Kuzco was basically gonna be the same character. He was named something else, I don't remember what, but they found out that it was a lewd term in Japanese. I think he was still gonna be voiced by David Spade, and I think they recorded some dialogue with him. I think the other guy was gonna be somebody else. I don't remember who. Let me see. Kingdom.
Yeah.
I
don't know much about Kingdom of the Sun. I know it's the subject of a very very researched and passionate documentary. Isn't it called the Sweatbox?
The Sweatbox. Right? I saw it a few years ago. A few years ago I did a series where I did like retrospectives about every Disney animated movie that wasn't based on something, and I would do like a background section on like how the movie sort of came to exist, and the one for Emperor's New Groove was very, very long because this got very far into production. They had a lot of animation done, they had music done, which like
Sting
if you
wrote
listen
the
to
songs, right?
Yeah, and he still wrote the songs that are in Emperor's New Groove. Um, but a couple of the songs that have been released from this version, thank you. Um, sorry, I'm on a call. Okay. Um, uh, they've released a couple of songs. They released like One Day She'll Love Me and Snuff Out the Light, which I think is a banger. But like I remember hearing just their reasons for uh not going forward and kind of agreeing. I don't think it sounded very convoluted, kind of like there's too much going on. But it was going to star Owen Wilson as Pacha, who was going to be much younger, not like a family man. David Spade as Manko, which is a lewd term in Japanese. Eartha Kitt was still going to be Yzma. Carla Gugino or Jugino as Nina. Harvey Firestein as Hukwa. And Laura Prepon from That 70s Show as Mata.
And half those characters I know nothing about.
Oh yeah, because they don't exist in the actual.
Yeah. What
Oh, you know what?
the long
I
and
was wrong. There
short
are
of
two
it.
more.
Mm,
Hang on,
go
there are
ahead.
two more songs that exist. There's Walk the Llama Llama, which is on the soundtrack for Emperor's New Groove, sung by Rascal Flatts. And then Why Can't a Human Be More Like a Rock, which I think only exists as like a demo. Gonna be a parody of Why Can't a Woman Be More Like a Man from My Fair Lady.
Fascinating. And then just in case you didn't know, those other songs that did make it into the film are I forget the title of the opening song that Tom Jones sings.
Perfect World.
Perfect World, thank you. And then of course the credits song My Funny Friend and Me.
Yeah, which I think was from Kingdom of the Sun and just became the end credit song.
Yeah. So yeah,
I put I put this in I Can Live Without It.
yeah, I would agree because from what I hear, and I might be wrong, the long and short of it was the story really wasn't working. And so, after a big, huge rework and a lot of tears shed, Disney made The Emperor's New Groove, which I think is one of the funniest films that they ever made.
It's a banger.
It's an
So I can
absolute
live without
banger.
this.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta blow through the rest of these. Let's go.
All
Roger
right.
Rabbit
Who
prequel.
sequeled Roger Rabbit? Prequeled? Who
Who
prequeled
dis
Roger
who
Rabbit?
discovered Roger Rabbit or Roger Rabbit the Toon Platoon? It's gonna be about World War II. There's a song from it called "This Only Happens in the Movies." Carrie Butler recorded it. I think it's pretty good. It's by Alan Menken. Uh, I just don't. I don't think Bob Hoskins was gonna be involved. I know it was gonna involve like Jessica Rabbit being kidnapped by Nazis and being made to do Nazi propaganda over the radio.
Which is fascinating that they would want her to do radio work and not films.
Well, they can still like print pictures of her in magazines and be like, "This is who's doing this,"
I
and
suppose.
like the radio is the fastest way to communicate to the masses at the time. They don't have TVs.
But the Germans back then were filming a lot of stuff too.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest Roger Rabbit fan. I really like it. I think it's a great movie. It's
It's a
not
great
one of my
movie.
favorites.
A
I'm gonna
technological
put this.
achievement.
I'm gonna say I can live without it.
I'm also going to agree I can live without this. Like, it would have been cool to possibly get more material with Roger Rabbit, although I'm not necessarily sure this was the right story for it. All right, what do we have next?
Those are a bunch of storyboards for the Aristocats 2.
That's another movie I haven't seen.
It's okay. It's very dark ages of Disney, but it's cute. They were gonna do a direct-to-video sequel where like they're all on a cruise ship. It takes place at Christmas for some reason. There's like a jewel thief on the ship. Marie was gonna be like the main character, and she was gonna have a love interest cat. I don't know much. I don't know much else about it.
Yeah, it feels very Patch's London Adventure or Scamp's Adventure to me.
I haven't seen either of those.
Haven't seen Patches. I saw Scamp's Adventure as a kid.
I want to be wild and free.
Yeah, I want to be a wild dog. So
I can live without it.
I can also live without it. I mean,
This one,
the a lot of the
logo.
Disney direct to DVD films are either like cult classics or you just never want to think about them again. So tell us
Yeah.
about Dumbo 2.
Dumbo 2 was going to take place like the same day that the original ends, with them like with the circus like arriving at their next stop. It was going to be Dumbo was going to talk in it. He was going to have all these little
Immediately turned
animal
off.
kit friends. Yep. Let's see if there's a plot synopsis that exists.
I'm already not okay with Dumbo talking.
So let's see. It was revealed in 2001, canceled in 2006 by John Lasseter after he was named CCO of Walt Disney Animation Studios. He was also in charge of Pixar and Disney Toons, so he kind of canned like all the other direct-to-video sequels
Yeah, this is
that
kind of when
were in
the good
development.
old Eisner direct to video sequel farm kind of died.
Yeah, all right. This one says, and take this with a grain of salt. This is from BigCartoon.org, the Big Cartoon Wiki. It says, Dumbo and a group of young circus animals at different childhood stages get separated from the troupe. They venture through the city to get back while also evading the animal control officer pursuing them. The film also would have explained what happened to Dumbo's father. That's all it says.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like it wasn't going to be any good. And I mean, did we really need to know what happened to Dumbo's father? Like, I
We
honestly
need.
wonder if there were people out there who were like, "Where's the dad?"
There probably were.
Maybe, but I
Uh,
don't know. Like I said, a lot of people either really like the Disney direct-to-video films or they really don't, and I feel like this was going to be one of those that they really don't.
yeah, but the thing is, cute baby elephant.
Probably sell a lot of merch.
Cute. Cute
Yeah.
baby elephant doing baby elephant things.
My vote is probably for the best, unless you've got a really compelling argument for me to put it in I can live without it.
It might have been cool because cute little baby elephant. I was one of the few people who when they revealed what Dumbo was going to look like in the live action remake, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
did
mean,
not think he was." Same with Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin. I was like, "That's so cute, I'm gonna cry." But
yeah,
everyone was
I
like, "Oh,
think
it
they
looks
got it right
creepy,"
in
and I was like,
those.
"No."
We can go off
I
on
think maybe
another
Simba.
tangent about what they
I
did
think
with
live
the
action
live action Lion King.
Simba was cute too. The movie wasn't good, but Simba was cute. Dumbo 2 might have been cool. I'm sickened by it. You do what you want.
All right, well, let's meet in the middle here. I can live without it.
Very well. This next one is since these are all condensed into squares, it's Ints Aid.
Ints Aid. Great title.
So this was going to be a short film called Princess Academy.
Anything to
Um,
do with the Disney princesses, I guess?
Everything to do with the Disney princesses. It was going to be all these Disney heroines from across the studios. Well, pretty much just the main one in Pixar, getting together and having a party. I guess I don't know what the plot was going to be. There's like a bunch of concept art that was released. It's pretty much the heroine from like every Disney animated movie up to that point. Um, like a statue of Megara, so I guess she's dead in this universe. If she's
Yikes.
like a deity, I don't know. Um, I don't know much else about it. I think it was in development a little bit after Princess and the Frog came out, because Tiana's in there. I'm, I'm gonna say might have been cool, because I'm not that upset that it didn't happen. I think it's kind of a basic concept. I think like fan art can kind of accomplish the same thing, but it would have been cute to see. So I'm gonna say might have been cool.
Yeah. I feel like if maybe they did sort of what they did with the Disney princess scene in Ralph Breaks the Internet, or I don't know, something else. I had a second point and I forgot it, but maybe something like that where all the princesses team up. I feel like that would have been pretty funny, but then I guess we got that scene in Ralph Breaks the Internet, so I feel like this doesn't necessarily need to exist, but it might have been a good seller on home video. I'll go ahead and put it in might have been cool.
Yep.
Because I can see it tracking with a lot of the audience of, say, the Tinkerbell franchise or stuff like that. To put my cynical hat on again, it would have sold a lot of merch.
Maybe.
All right, what's next?
Next is a movie called Wildlife or Club Wildlife. This is according to the Disney Wiki, a CGI film directed by Howard Baker and Roger Gould that was being developed in the 90s but was shelved in 2000. Was to be a satire of 70s American pop culture, would have paid homage to popular figures at the time, such as Andy Warhol, Anna Wintour, and Diana Vreeland. I have not heard of that last one. Here's the plot synopsis. Red Pitstein, the owner of a prestigious nightclub, is quite distressed because Kitty Glitter, his once beloved diva pop sensation, has dwindled in popularity. Without a star attraction, everyone will go to the club owned by Magda, editor of Magazizi, the city's most popular fashion magazine and Red's biggest rival. Needing something big to regain the reputation their club once had, Red and Kitty find it in Ella, an elephant from the local zoo who is able to talk. Why do they have zoos?
Wait.
Why do they have zoos in this universe?
Like,
are these characters No, they're not. These characters aren't human. Why do they have zoos? Or wait, are they human? They might be human. Okay, yes, the main characters are human, except for Ella. Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense then.
I was going into this under the assumption that these were animals.
Yeah, so was I.
That just tracks.
Things do not go well for Ella at first because she doesn't think she's good enough to be a star. In fact, she starts to have second thoughts about performing. One night while attempting to plug in a neon sign, the elephant is electrocuted and knocked unconscious. She is now under the impression that she's a famous pop singer and quickly rises to fame. However, Ella soon tires of her glamorous lifestyle and tells Red one night that she would like to return to the zoo. Red attempts to sweet-talk her into staying. Kitty catches sight of this and mistakenly thinks that Red is trying to seduce the elephant, which upsets her greatly because she is secretly in love with him. Wait, is Red...
Okay, are they animals or not?
I don't know.
Return
After
to
Kitty
the
is
zoo,
angrily...
seduce the elephant?
After... Seduce the elephant out of context. Let's print that on t-shirts.
Yeah. Our first Into the Falls merch idea. Seduce the elephant.
They're like, what does this have to do with Gravity Falls? After Kitty has angrily confronted Red about the situation, Ella, not wanting to cause any more trouble, goes back to the zoo. However, Red and Kitty... Wait, those are the parents from that 70s show. Red and Kitty.
What is this movie?
Soon clear up the misunderstanding, proceed to ask Ella to come back and perform for them. I thought they were like the bad guys in this. But after being told by the elephant that she would be much happier in her old environment, the two understand, at which point they finally admit their feelings for one another and become a couple. This doesn't sound like a great movie. Not a great script.
Yeah, this whole thing just sounds like a mess. And with the sort of nightclub aspect and the glamour, the only thing I could think of was Cats Don't Dance. Like maybe Disney was trying to crib off of that a little bit. I don't know.
Maybe I was thinking more like early version of Zootopia. You know what? I remember hearing about this movie, but it's not on the wiki, so maybe this was entirely made up. I heard that this was supposed to be their first like PG-13 movie, and it got canceled like immediately because there was like a butthole joke from a character who was implied to be gay.
Yikes.
I don't know if that's actually true. I'm gonna say probably for the best.
Yeah, this just sounds like a big pile of suck. It's probably would have put a swift end to the Disney Renaissance. So
yeah,
probably
which was on its way anyway.
Yeah, do we know what period in the 90s this was developed in?
Like
Is
late 90s.
Okay.
So Disney Renaissance is about to end.
All right. So we got Chicken Little next.
Yeah, there are storyboards that exist for Chicken Little too, but I decided on this picture of a giant Chicken Little overlooking the Brown Derby restaurant at Hollywood Studios, because I think it's very intimidating and I find that funny.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely a good
this is
thumbnail
from
choice.
again from the Disney Wiki. Chicken Little 2 Mission to Mars is a canceled sequel to Chicken Little. It was going to be a sequel, never came to fruition. Um, in the story, Chicken Little finds himself in the midst of a love triangle. On one side is his childhood sweetheart, Abby Ugly Duckling Mallard. On the other side is the very attractive. I don't like them. I don't like them saying that a child character is attractive, but her name's Raphaella and she's a French sheep. Abby's at a tremendous disadvantage here, so she goes to great lengths to give herself a makeover. A portion of the makeover sequence is represented on Todd Carter's website, which shows Abby's grand entrance at school with her newfound look. The script in this case had dialogue but very little specific action, so most of the visuals and business are original ideas that I was free to invent.
I mean, Chicken Little is probably the best thing to represent Disney's growing pains from 2D to 3D animated films. By which I mean it's all right. Like, I liked it as a kid, but it's not their greatest work. But it's all right.
Seen it.
So
I haven't seen it in a while.
I really don't think this sequel needed to exist.
No, that's probably why it doesn't exist. So these storyboards, Chicken Little and Abby are a cute little middle school couple. And then there's a sheep here. She looks happy. She looks nice, but Abby's jealous. She's jealous. My ear's itchy.
Yeah.
Let me see her grand entrance after her makeover.
Yeah.
Let's get
You know what?
makeovers.
Drop that in the storyboard. Drop that in the storyboard. Drop that storyboard in our Discord chat. That's what I was gonna say. I want to see this for myself too.
I'm trying to find it. There's a hamster getting shoved in a locker.
Because
Classic
of course that
shot
happens
of her
in middle
from
school.
Classic shot of her from the waist down. Everybody's looking, they're like, what? She's wearing some nice high heels.
Already off to a great start.
A Chicken Little saying something. I can't read it. Looks like I guess she's wearing lipstick. She's wearing mascara. There's really not much else to it than that. He's there with Raphael. He's hanging out. I don't love this. Okay, I will send you the storyboard sequence for the full reveal of what she looks like now, which is like fine, I guess. It's like a middle schooler's idea of what being attractive is.
Okay, they gave her hair.
Yes.
And she's in a dress.
Mm-hmm.
Very duck lip in full effect. Yeah, this isn't much of a makeover, but I still don't like it.
Because she's like 12.
Yeah. Naturally.
I mean, I guess the lesson she learned was gonna be like, hey, it doesn't
inner beauty.
If you don't like me the way I am, then bye.
If
then
you don't
you
like
can,
me at
you
my
can
ugly
like
duckling, then girl, bye.
And I'm glad your mom died.
Yikes.
She learns like, okay, that was a little too far, but I should just like myself the way I am.
Wait. That wasn't just a joke of yours? Is that
No,
does she actually make that? Does Abby Mallard actually say that?
No. I have a dark sense of humor.
Good. I
They're
can
just
be
like,
okay with you. I can laugh at you making that joke, but learning that this was potentially in the script, I'm gonna be like, bye.
they they
No.
both learn the importance of inner beauty, but also they realize it's best for them not to be friends anymore after she said that. Like he just can't get it out of his mind. He's like, "Listen, I get that you were mad. I get why you were mad, but that was uncalled for. I
But
put this in probably for the best."
yeah, I will too. Chicken Little too. Probably for the best it didn't happen. Girl, bye.
Girl boss.
All right.
That's
Epic
Chicken Little 3.
Mickey girl boss. All right. Epic Mickey 3. Why don't you give us the rundown on
Mickey
that?
3. There's not much of a rundown. I don't think there's a plot synopsis that exists. But there's like a cliffhanger ending to in Epic Mickey 2, which just kind of implied that Pete was going to come back, or the Pete's. There's multiple Pete's. I haven't played these games in years.
I never
There
got
were
to
like
playing
costumes.
the second one because it came out on the Wii U, and I think by this time I didn't have a Wii U anymore.
Well, the studio that made it shut down like immediately after
Oh yeah, Junction
because
Point.
it just didn't sell very well. We pretty much know nothing else about Epic Mickey 3, but I'm gonna put it in might have been cool.
Yeah, I think it might have been.
I remember
cool
liking
if,
those games.
if Epic Mickey was more successful. I definitely like the concept, bringing sort of the mischief and the mayhem of 30s Mickey sort of back to the forefront, and then sort of telling like a darker, sort of more uh Bendy and the Ink Machine kind of story with Mickey. Like I don't know much about Bendy and the Ink Machine, but that's very much the vibe that I get.
Yeah,
So
but we
yeah,
know like nothing else about this. So I'm just gonna say would have been fun. Might
yeah,
have been cool.
might have been cool. Warren Spector went on to do much better things, like uh remaster a new System Shock, I think, if I got the right guy. And also a co-writing credit in Dangerous Currency.
For him.
Good for him. All right, what do we got? Our penultimate canceled project here, 10 Little Indians looking thing.
That's Little Hiawatha, which is a silly symphony, and I have put it there to represent the unmade feature film Hiawatha, which was going to be like an actual adaptation of the epic poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow about the fictional adventures of an Indian warrior. This article's words, not mine, named Hiawatha, based on Native American legends. Walt Disney first encountered the poem when he was a student at Benton Elementary School in Marceline, Missouri. This is from cartoonresearch.com. I don't know how much truth there is to this, but I do know this project was kind of on and off in the studio. The silly symphony basically just takes the name because it was recognizable. It has nothing to do with the actual story. Basically, Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson wrote that one theme that kept haunting Walt was the story of Hiawatha. He kept bringing it up over the years, trying to find the right way to do something with it. So he just really wanted to adapt this poem. Let me see. I'm trying to see if there's any like big differences as far as. Ooh, oh,
Yeah,
these
because
are
I'm not
pretty.
familiar with the poem.
So,
We didn't read it in like high school, so
yeah,
I
I've
feel
never read
like
it either.
I feel like you would only get into this
1943.
stuff if you're like a lit major.
1943, Walt seriously started work on Hiawatha as a feature film. At one point, he considered having Native American artists do concept art and to employ it in some way in the finished film. That kind of lines up with the Indian Village in Disneyland that they originally had, where, like, it sounds very, very bad. It's not as bad as it could have been because they brought in, like, actual Native American people to come in and just, like, actually educate guests about their culture. That doesn't mean that the Disney company wasn't employing stereotypes elsewhere, but that was not as bad as it could have been for the time,
Yeah,
at least.
it's a
There's
step in the right direction.
there's some very nice looking storyboards here for the proposed animated feature by, I think they're by Dick Kelsey. I'm gonna send you one of these.
Good. I would like to see one of these. Cause
Oh, it's all one image, so I'm sending you all of them.
nice. Just like the Chicken Little 2 storyboards. I feel like right off the bat, my first judgment is perhaps not a feature film. This might have worked better in my mind as like a segment in a Fantasia film.
Maybe, but the problem there is that the poem is really, really long. Uh, Walt sought to condense it into a story that could be told within the confines of a single film. At one point, he considered having the characters deliver their lines in sign language. I don't know if that's something from the poem, or something from some Native American culture. And so research was done at the Smithsonian. Some research was done at the Smithsonian Institution, but was abandoned as the story became too complicated to tell in that fashion. Um, Early version of the story started with an intertribal war and the Great Spirit sending a deliverer in the form of Hiawatha. I don't know if that's the story of the poem. Added a villain named Tado Daho, who's a feared warrior and whose jealousy of Hiawatha results in various acts of treachery, including killing Hiawatha's best friend. This is serious for Disney in the 40s, for Disney animation in the 40s.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see. Kelsey said Walt doesn't want to make this a light thing. He wants it to have a terrific musical accompaniment, almost Christ-like, but not quite. Walt said it was originally his idea to get the storyboards up to show the material we are going to work with, then call in the composer, tell the story like we just told it, let the composer write a suite called the Hiawatha Suite, then go back and start working from the composer's musical score. On December 8th, 1948, the studio held a showing for all of the artwork and story that had been done on the feature. While most praised the artwork, others feared the approach was too highbrow in its seriousness, much like the other earlier unsuccessful Fantasia, and not what the audience would expect of a Disney animated feature, but that's why we in the modern day want something like that. Maybe not this specifically because it's Walt Disney in the 40s adapting a Native American story, or a story about a Native American.
Well,
Film
he
faced
said
many
it was
challenges.
based on Native American folklore, so technically you could say it is a Native American story about a Native American.
It's based on a poem by a white guy based on Native American folklore. I don't know how accurate the poem is to any of that, but they had trouble finding enough skilled animators who could handle drawing realistic human figures. It was also considered risky because the Disney studio still had not recovered financially from World War II. We've hit that again. 1949, it was again reworked so that it was told in flashback format to a white missionary to the tribe. Why? Oh, in that way it didn't have to be a straight story, but focused on the best segments. They told me right away. Villain disappeared, was replaced by the evil magician Pearlfeather, and he battled with Hiawatha for the big climax. I wonder if Minnehaha still died in this. Press articles about it appeared as late as 1951. This was never made. I mean, it would have been cool to have a Disney animated movie from that time period that's like so different from all the other stuff they were doing that has more of a serious story.
Yeah.
Whether it would have actually been good, I don't know.
Yeah. And especially in Disney's dire financial straits back then.
It just couldn't have happened when they were developing it.
Yeah. Because if they did decide to go through with something this different and it was a bust, we probably wouldn't have Disney today.
Yeah, probably not. They probably would have gone bankrupt. Is that a good or a bad thing? You decide.
I don't know. I'm happy with all the Disney I've experienced over the years. So, you want probably for the best, or I can live without it?
I might have been cool because I just think this is an interesting idea. If we live in a world where they weren't in dire financial straits, and assuming they weren't gonna put a ton of Native American stereotypes in it, which is very wishful thinking, considering the things they've actually done with Native American characters. I just like the idea of like a serious animated movie from that time period.
Yeah.
And it seems like the kind of movie that Walt Disney always wanted to make, and the studio could never quite get it right. And then they kind of devolved into being the family-friendly studio, so now they kind of can't.
Yeah. They built their brand, and now they can't really deviate from it.
So I'm going to say might have been cool, if only for what it would have represented for the studio.
Also want to go on record here. You know, we should make this a drinking game. Drink every time I mention something I haven't seen. I have not seen Pocahontas.
I think you really need to. It's got some good music. It's very pretty to look at.
Colors of the
The
Wind is a
story,
banger.
yeah, the story is um bad. I think even if Pocahontas, even if these weren't real people, um it's not great to kind of play the story of American colonialism the way they do. Like the ultimate message is that racism is bad. Um but they kind of end with like everyone's okay with each other, which like may have been true on an individual level with a lot of people, but colonists coming to Virginia was actually a bad thing. They did bad things there, which they kind of touch on in the movie, but it's kind of brushed aside.
Yeah, Disney in the 90s.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of their attempt to do the Hiawatha movie that Walt wanted. I don't know why they did Pocahontas instead.
And everybody wanted to work on that movie instead of The Lion King.
Yeah.
All right. Finishing off our grand adventure through what could have been and what certainly wasn't. The Beatles?
Yeah. Well, see, what happened was Robert Zemeckis was gonna do a remake of Yellow Submarine
I do
in
remember reading
motion
about this.
in motion capture. But what happened is one of the story artists read Catcher in the Rye, and then he shot all the mocap actors.
That's a
So it
great
just
joke.
didn't happen.
That's
Um,
Mary's way of saying that ImageWorks Digital, his motion capture company, went under because of the failure of Mars Needs Moms. And so this project kind of died along with it, too.
okay, so it was planned to be released in the summer of 2012. Uh, Dean Lennox Kelly was going to play John Lennon, Peter Serafinowicz as Paul McCartney, Carrie Elwes as George Harrison, and Adam Campbell as Ringo Starr, with tribute band the Fab Four being used for the performance capture. Would have been a loose adaptation, so not like a shot-for-shot remake, giving Pepperland a darker, more apocalyptic feel, with nightmarish creatures, including more monstrous blue meanies. The Beatles would look more like caricatures than real people, similar to Steven Spielberg's The Adventures of Tintin. Image Movers shuddered. This movie did not happen. Christmas Carol and Mars Needs Moms both bombed at the box office, the latter especially being a disaster. Barring Monster House, the other motion capture films had a similar budget to $150 million, which was why they were so heavily advertised.
Yeah. I saw Mars Needs Moms, and I liked
I
it
saw
at
A
the
Christmas
time.
Carol.
Looking
I
back,
saw
it
A
was
Christmas
just
Carol.
all
That scared
right.
me. Yeah. All right. So,
I will go on.
looks like
I will
Disney.
defend
It looks like just.
Polar Express, though. I say that's a
I
great
could
film.
watch it at. I watch it at Christmas. I don't think it's the best, but I'll watch it.
I'll admit,
It would have
motion
been.
capture in this way was always going to be a little weird and off-putting, but I think the great visuals otherwise and the story definitely make up for it. I would call it a Christmas classic.
It's one of my grandfather's favorite Christmas movies.
Yeah. So,
He's 85 years old and he loves that movie. Another thing is Disney. It would have been way too expensive to get the rights to the Beatles music, and there's kind of no point in making Yellow Submarine without Beatles music because it is a musical.
yeah.
They
If
just
they're not
decided
on
it wasn't
board,
worth it.
if they're
There's
not
no
on
more
board,
money to
there's
be
no
made.
point.
No more money to be made in fully motion capture animated films. No point shelling out the money for the Beatles discography. Kind of a weird idea to begin with, doing motion capture Beatles. I'm gonna say probably for the best.
Yeah. I mean, with imagery as iconic as it is already in Yellow Submarine, this definitely feels like something that didn't need to happen and definitely was going to be difficult to produce anyway without the planets being aligned.
You know what I thought when I read that cast list?
The planets need
I
to
f-
be aligned to free the titans that are the Beatles.
I thought, why not try and get Paul McCartney to play himself in motion capture?
Or at least voice himself.
I don't think they even voiced themselves in the original.
Really?
They like they had like their actual recordings of their songs, but they didn't like voice themselves as characters, I
I
don't
feel like
think.
that would have been weird to do.
Yeah, and like I don't know if they were really actors. I haven't seen a Beatles movie in a long time. I watched them when I was like 14 and Beatles were like my special interest. I haven't seen any of them since. I don't remember if their performances were actually good. Yeah, they did not play themselves.
That's really interesting. And I feel like a wacky way to go about it. I haven't seen this film. I not especially interested in the Beatles. I hear them called over and over again one of the greatest bands of all time, so I say they're overrated out of spite.
I mean, they have some bangers, but they also have some not bangers. I'm gonna say probably for the best.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
That's in Yellow Submarine, yes. My favorite song, probably one of my favorite Beatles songs, is Nowhere Man, which is in that movie. That's how I first heard it. So I'm glad the original exists. Don't think we need this.
Okay, I will admit, A Hard Day's Night is a banger. The song.
That's a good song too. Got to Get You Into My Life is a good one. Yesterday's a good one. Blackbird. The Long and Winding Road.
Maybe I should listen to the Beatles then.
Yeah. I mean, people hype them up to the point that like you just want to be like, no, no Beatles. And also like, I don't,
Do
I'm
not
not sure any of
interact if
them
you
are.
are the Beatles.
They're not the greatest of people. They were rock stars in the '60s, which means not great. But a lot of their music is kind of as good as people say it is.
Yeah. So maybe I should give
So,
them a chance. And I should see a lot of these films that I mentioned here that I haven't seen. But sadly, we won't get to see any of these films that are up on this list because they don't exist and will never.
some of them might someday exist, but I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah. And just as a
But that's
brief recap, in Oh Thank God tier, we have Disney's America. Very glad that didn't happen. And probably for the best tier, we have Michael Eisner's The Catcher in the Rye, all of the
Goofus.
Pixar sequels by Circle 7 Animation, Disney's Wildlife, Chicken Little 2, and Robert Zemeckis' Yellow Submarine. In I Can Live Without It, we have the Courier and Ike movie,
Ives.
Courier and Ives movie, Kingdom in the Sun, which became The Emperor's New Groove, Who Discovered Roger Rabbit, The Aristocats 2, and Dumbo 2. The following might have been cool: Treasure Planet 2, Roald Dahl's The Gremlins, Disney's Gigantic, Disney's Insaid, Princess Academy, Epic Mickey 3, and I'm sorry, what was the title of the Native American story?
Hiawatha.
Hiawatha.
I might be pronouncing that wrong. It might be Hiawatha.
And in We Were Robbed, Disney, if you're watching this, you need to make these happen some way or another. Get Guillermo del Toro back to do Haunted Mansion, get the Lizzie McGuire reboot back on track, and give me Darkwing! Thank you.
This has been AJ reenacting the credit stinger from Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
We want Darkwing! We want Darkwing!
Also, as far as Guillermo del Toro and Hilary Duff, I don't think they would come back for these projects, even if Disney wanted to do them. Because Hilary Duff is doing How I Met Your Father. Del Toro kind of did. Del Toro did a haunted house movie with Crimson Peak, and he's doing very well for himself outside of Disney. So I'm just not sure they would happen. Darkwing Duck movie, we can hope.
Yes, I will hope forever. All right. Well, we're at about 2 hours now, so I think that's all the time we have for tonight. If anyone watched, I'm very glad you stopped by, and I hope to have Into the Falls episode 9 done very, very soon.
I just realized the concept art from Hiawatha never sent, so it's maybe sending now. It's not really showing up on my end, but hopefully for you.
Oh, I found it.
It's pretty.
It is very pretty. Hence,
It's kind of like
I
it's
reiterate,
kind of
this
like
would be really good as a Fantasia segment.
it would
Maybe as a
one of the
Fantasia
other
style movie.
yeah. One of the other movies that I kind of culled from the list was Fantasia 3 because it's just kind of like they were gonna do another one.
Yeah, and then it just kind of fell apart. And the little matchstick girl, is that what it's called? It
The
became
Little
it.
Match Girl.
Yeah, it became its own short, but just a short.
It's a very good short.
Yeah. All
So if
right.
there's anything you can take away from this, most projects in Hollywood don't get made. It's all right.
It's okay. We
All
live
right,
to see
life
another
goes on.
day. Life goes on, but these sure don't. All right. Anything else you want to say, Mary, before we close out?
I want to say, I did want to say something. I don't remember what it was. I want to say watch The Little Match Girl. It should be on Disney Plus. If you have the old DVD of The Little Mermaid, it's on there. If you have the DVD of all the Walt Disney Animation Studios shorts, it's on there.
Yeah. And
Be
my
prepared
last
to be
thing,
sad, though.
it is very sad. And my last thing is have a good night, stay well, trust no one, and thank your lucky stars that Circle 7 never existed. Good night, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.